Bear with me, this is one of those deep thoughts video. So put on your thinking caps and let's go. If you follow the mainstream personal finance channels, chances are that you've come across the concept of compounding. That is, the concept that money will grow faster and faster over time. This is known as exponential growth in maths. Therefore, it's no surprise that many personal finance YouTubers, myself included, have pitched compounding as an extremely powerful force in driving your wealth forward. And to illustrate this, we are often given examples such as the following. If you save $100 today and invest it at 8% return per annum, after 30 years, that is by the time you retire, it would have reached $1,006, more than 10 times its value. If you were lucky enough to consistently average 10% annual return, then your final sum would be $1,745. And so far so good, the maths checks out. Therefore, the argument is made that you should save as much as possible, grow your wealth by the time you retire, because any amount of money that you invest will grow tenfold or more. By the time you retire, you'd be able to buy a lot more of what you initially sacrificed. For example, if an apple costs $1, you'd be able to buy 10 apples and eat them to your heart's content. So why not save as much as possible? But there lies the huge flaw. Actually flaws, because there are quite a few. One of them is inflation, which means your money will buy you less stuff in the future, but for simplicity, let's assume that the growth rate is the real growth rate, that is inflation adjusted. So the other problem with this argument is a concept known as diminishing returns. Indeed, as you eat more and more apples, the satisfaction you receive starts to decrease. Hence, this is known as diminishing marginal utility. In economics, utility is another word for satisfaction from consumption. And the way human beings derive satisfaction is complicated. In this case, eating 100 apples in one day, if that's even possible, will most likely yield different results from eating one apple every day for 100 days, even though they're both 100 apples. Diminishing returns is in everyday life. That is, it's partly why developing countries grow faster than developed countries, why beginners gain more muscle initially than veterans, and why overweight people lose fat much faster than leaner individuals. But here's an interesting question. Does money itself have a diminishing return? Well, money is a little different to your traditional goods because it's not directly consumed, at least I hope not. But instead it's used in exchange for goods and services. This means that you're able to avoid the diminishing returns. Back to the apple example, imagine you're eating your second apple and already feel bored. You can easily use your money to buy oranges, and when you're fed up, move on to caviar, etc. There are so many things you can buy. But that does not mean there's no diminishing returns. Say you can spend a limitless amount of money in $1,000 chunks, and you have nothing at all, absolutely nothing to start with. Then your first $1,000 will bring you a huge satisfaction and probably a lot of relief as well. So will the next $1,000, but probably not as much as the first $1,000. The next $1,000 even less so. This is the diminishing return concept. Fast forward a few more times and you're in Lambo territory. Sure, a supercar is nice to drive, but does it bring you more happiness than what you initially spent the money on? For example, a bed, a fridge, etc. Eventually you get to a point where money doesn't really bring you happiness, as we often hear. But don't take my word for it, listen to what billionaires have to say. That's why they often give away a lot of money to charity or invest in good causes rather than themselves. So to sum up this point, money itself has a diminishing marginal return. And if to make more money you have to work harder and sacrifice more, then the diminishing returns happens even faster. This is why some people don't want to spend 80-hour weeks to make a lot of money when they're happier with 40-hour weeks and a decent income. And that brings me to the end of my video. I hope you found it useful. As always, thank you and see you next time.